How about a Coppola quick facts?
All right,
Yeah,
let's take a look at a Coppola quick facts here. Coppola. Is it Coppola? God damn it. I need to... Is it Coppola or Coppola?
I saw you're doing... Are you doing a bit now, or is that...
Yeah, is this a bit?
Like you say it every time.
I do it every time, but I'm like, you're going to say it right.
I say Coppola.
And then I'm... Coppola. Okay.
That's how I've always heard it.
Could be wrong.
I'm pretty sure that you're right, but I always am like, I've done this 3 times now since we started this show. I've gone and listened to somebody say his name, and then I'm like, okay, I'm going to get it right from here on out. And then I get here, and I'm like, Coppola? You just said it 2 seconds ago, and now I'm like, which one is it? Is it Coppola?
It's Italian, and you know, European vowels tend to open up things a little bit. You pronounce the O's more like O's, so you know, Coppola makes a little more sense.
Okay,
probably closer to how it's supposed to actually be said. I don't think either one of them is fully correct.
Yeah, well, I mean, I heard him say his name, and he says it like that, like Coppola. Francis Ford Coppola. Something like that.
I would take his word for it.
You would think he would know, but maybe not. Okay, so a couple of quick facts here. Nicolas Cage actually paid Willem Dafoe $100,000 to do this movie,
which says a lot. Director.
Yes, but I mean, that's crazy. Like, and Nicolas Cage is an actor in this film, but he believed in this project so much.
That's crazy.
That he decided to pay Willem Dafoe to get him into the movie.
Yeah.
This is the first time that they've worked together since Wild at Heart, which I think was like 1993 or 1990. So,
wow.
Yeah, it's been a long time. So I guess he just really wanted to work with Willem Dafoe, and also Willem Dafoe is perfect for this batshit crazy role.
Yeah.
He nailed it.
In. This was shot in 25 days. As I said, the crew was largely comprised of recent film school graduates. So they kind of like... Paul Schrader sat down for a summer and kind of fleshed out the script with these film students and stuff, and came up with like interesting ideas to make this movie not boring and keep people on their toes, which... we'll get to. There are a lot of things that, yeah, sure, that worked, but listening to him on the commentary, it started to become really clear that at this point, I don't know if it's just him at this point in his career, but like he cared way more about making the thing visually interesting and all the weird like dynamics of the different shots to like throw people off than he cared about the story. He never seemed to mention the story one fucking time. So
it's such a weird turnabout for a writer.
Yeah. Yeah, I get the sense that he doesn't direct the way that he writes. I think he really puts those in 2 different camps, and like his writing is one thing, and it's been known to be great, but his directing, so. Technically, it wasn't actually shot in 25 days. It was shot in 23 and a half days because Nicolas Cage walked off the set on day 1 because he hadn't been paid yet.
Fair enough.
So they flew him out. Okay, but this is what happened. And before you're like, Nick Cage sucks. Before you say that, they flew him out and he did all the pre-production and the rehearsals and all that kind of stuff with the promise that he would get money from the studio on day 1, and when he showed up to set on day 1, he hadn't been paid, so he just fucked off to Las Vegas.
Yeah.
And they're like, uh-oh, film's in peril, we have the whole crew here, everything ready to go, and they decided to film the scenes with Willem Dafoe and Matthew Cook, whatever his name is, those like monologue scenes where they're at the strip club and all that stuff towards the end of the film. So they shot that first, got Nick Cage's money, and NickAge flew back, and everything was fine.
Right. I mean, to his credit, I would not want to be stuck in Cleveland.
Did they shoot on location? Did they shoot on location?
This was shot entirely in Cleveland. They were going to shoot in Los Angeles and substitute it for Cleveland, but then they went and did a scouting trip and looked at Cleveland, and they were like, oh shit, we can film pretty much everything here.
That's cheaper than LA.
It is cheaper than LA.
You can't recreate that scum feeling of being in Ohio, let alone Cleveland.
This is the 7th collaboration between Paul Schrader and Willem Dafoe, which is crazy. Last Temptation of Christ, Affliction, Autofocus, The Walker, Adam Resurrected, Dog Eat Dog, which is number 7, and he's actually filming right now with a new Scorsese movie that was written by Paul Schrader. We were just talking about Bringing Out the Dead was the last time that Paul Schrader and Martin Scorsese worked together.
I didn't realize he was right. He wrote the script that they're shooting right now.
Yep, the Card Counter is what it's going to be. So, yeah, that's crazy. This is Paul Schrader.
Wait a minute, you're telling me Scorsese's doing a movie about a casino? That's
no.
It's like a Card Counter. That's really off-brand.
No, it's about Magic the Gathering, actually.
That'd be amazing.
That would be so awesome. Scorsese's Magic the Gathering.
It would still be a bunch of mafia guys.
Yeah,
I don't get it. What am I supposed to do with these guys?
Trying to rig a Magic tournament. Getting outsmarted by a bunch of nerds.
We're going to win. We're going to beat these kids.
Teaching a Card Counter how to play Magic.
They start seeing like numbers appear next to his head.
Different lands appearing.
He's building out the magic deck in his head. All the cards just flashing across the screen.
I want to see that movie so bad.
I do too. All right,
let's write it. Let's write it.
I was gonna say that's our next, starring Nicolas Cage.
This is Paul Schrader and Nicolas Cage's 3rd time working together, Bringing Out the Dead, of course. Dying of the Light, which Paul Schrader talked mad shit about in the commentary. And then, of course, Dog Eat Dog. This is also the 2nd time that Willem Dafoe has appeared in a film based on an Edward Bunker novel. So there's all sorts of connections here. He starred in Animal Factory, which is a Bunker novel from year 2000.
Wrote that?
Yeah.
Whoa, okay. I didn't realize that he wrote Animal Factory.
And this movie, the book is set in the 90s, which kind of comes through. But then there's that moment where a cell phone makes an appearance and kind of screws everything up. But it kind of feels like the 90s. The vehicles are not period, but it has that 90s vibe to it. Like I said, Nicolas Cage and Willem Dafoe previously co-starred together in Wild at Heart. But additionally, Dafoe starred in Shadow of the Vampire, which was co-produced by Nicolas Cage, which I'm assuming was a Saturn Films production. Which is weird because Nicolas Cage is always in those Saturn Films productions.
I wonder why.
Wait, is that the one about shooting Nosferatu? Was that Shadow of the Vampire? Or am I thinking something different?
Might have been. I never actually saw it, but
I never saw it either.
I feel like we talked about this at some point when we were talking about Vampire's Kiss, that Shadow of the Vampire was a Nicolas Cage production. And I think you're right. I think that's what it is about.
It's the one about filming Nosferatu. Yeah, he plays Max Schreck, who
is
the guy who played Nosferatu, and in the movie he is an actual vampire playing. That's what the movie's about.
It makes so much sense that Willem Dafoe would be Max Schreck.
Yeah.
Finally, this is kind of a little bit of a spoiler, but this movie doesn't really follow the 3-act, narrative style. Which, by the way, we should just come clean. Like, I don't know what the fuck I'm doing when I'm putting those acts together. I just kind of like, like Nigel says he goes off a time code. I just kind of go off of, well, this feels like the conflict. This feels like the resolution.
I go off loose time code as a guide, and then...
So far, I think everything's been panning out both ways.
I think a lot of it too. If you watch it time code wise, and then usually there's some kind of a daylight transition, day to night, or something like that. Like it's kind of interesting if you pay attention to it.
True, that's actually a good point.
They tend to have some kind of transition that happens within the time frame of the movie that helps set the acts up a little bit better.
Yeah, this one kind of follows a 5-act narrative. So there's kind of a prologue. And then we see Crime 1 happen, then there's kind of an intermission at the casino, then there's Crime 2, and then there's an epilogue. So it's kind of broken up into 5 things. Paul Schrader said over and over again that he tried to just keep people on their toes. That was his whole mission on this film, which he did excellently. But yeah, that was kind of why he went that route, was just to keep you guessing.
Yeah.
My opinion is that this was a one-act movie. There was.
I saw some reviews say it was a 2-act
structure. It just does its thing. It just tells
stream
the story.
of consciousness.
Yeah. Maybe it's a verisimilitude. Like life doesn't have act structure. It's just a series of events that they were going for. I have a quick fact, or a couple of facts.
Oh, nice.
The role of Mad Dog, which is played by Willem Dafoe, was originally offered to Nick Cage, and that was who Paul Schrader wanted to. But he had just played a psycho like Mad Dog in some movie. I'm not sure what movie
a shock.
Right.
Was it Rage?
Yeah, I wonder how many directors want to cast Nicolas Cage as a psycho. That seems so weird. So he turned it down, and then it was offered to Willem Dafoe, but they didn't have enough in the budget to get 2 big stars like that, which is why Paul Schrader asked Nicolas Cage to donate $100,000 of his salary to get Willem Dafoe on board.
Willem Dafoe actually told Paul Schrader, I guess, that he was fine. Like at one point, he had cast him in all those different roles that I said, but he kept playing kind of bit parts and kind of character actor-y parts, and he told Paul Schrader, like, don't cast me in anything anymore unless it's a starring role, because, like, I love you, but I can't keep doing these types of roles. Which is funny. I guess they're actually friends in real life and hang out together.
I can see that.
Yeah, I can see that. They've known each other a really long time. Apparently, Paul Schrader and Willem Dafoe knew each other when he was doing like New York theater before he did Last Temptation of Christ, which makes a lot of sense because Willem Dafoe was kind of like his coming out party as an actor, and that was written by Paul Schrader, and Martin Scorsese directed, of course.
I think having Willem Dafoe play Mad Dog worked in this movie's favor.
Oh yeah,
that was like the one great character in the whole film. One interesting character through the whole thing. So Willem Dafoe was born to play that role, man.
Oh my God, yes he was. He played it so perfectly.
Sorry, that Pfizer vaccine's coming to get me.
Turning into Paul Schrader over there.
I was listening to the commentary, and he goes, and about 3,000 times. He's describing, this is, we shot this downtown,
I thought that was just
Nick
something
Cage
he put
didn't
on
really
for the
want
character.
Yeah, me too.
I couldn't tell that was a natural speech cadence of his. I thought he invented that for the role he was born to play.